everybody. Welcome to Friday and the Daily AI Show. It is November 21st, 2025, and this is episode 600 for the Daily AI Show. I'm very excited to see Jude in or the simulated Jude in the chat. And this is, so far, the very first single person Daily AI show. When we started, and we started in August of 2023, I think has to be. We had 6 or 7 co-hosts because we knew that not everybody would be able to be on the show, and it is something that has been coming for a long time that there's just a lot of busy people. So we're hoping somebody else will drop in. I have to say that what's been on my mind is all of the great examples of Nana Banana Pro, and I suspect they did some of that on the show yesterday, but I do want to show, let's see if I can get this. The image didn't come out correctly, but you can see on this page, let me grab it. Yep. That the New York Times is celebrating us on, yes, our 600th episode, Making Sense of AI. That, of course, is not us. This is who the New York Times or Gemini Pro Nano Banana feels would be the good, the proper, the proper co-host. That's sort of funny. But anyway, I am interested in how people are experiencing Nano Banana or these new Gemini 3 Pro models. It does seem that this has been one that is helpful. Ooh, Andy's here. Awesome. Let me shift our visuals. It does seem that Nano Banana Pro, they've been talking about Gemini 3 and models that have the ability to, there we go. Now we're in slightly better. Hi, Andy. How you doing?
Good. I had trouble getting in this morning.
Oh, no. I'm terribly sorry.
That's right.
So we had our first single person Daily AI show for like...
I thought we were about to have our first no show. Because...
yeah, ooh, that's tricky. So anyway, I believe Gemini 3 regular was stated to be the first model that had been trained multimedia from the beginning, which means that it wasn't an LLM that then was given the ability to understand images. It was given everything up front and then was able to create itself. But it does seem that the Pro version is much more that. So I don't know if the 3.0 wasn't really that, it was still an LLM that was then just given the ability to understand images, or whether Nano Banana, whether Gemini 3 Pro is actually the full version of what happens when a model is natively multimedia from the beginning, or multimodal.
Impression, or how did you learn that Pro had more multimedia chops than 3?
So the image, so Nano Banana Pro is actually just make an image with the thinking version of Gemini 3, and it's much better at I didn't show Andy. Let's show Andy. It's much better at rendering images with text and layout and all of those kinds of things. So, and this isn't us, but I will share it again because this is how I celebrated our 600th show, Andy. Here we go.
Very nice. Okay.
So I am basically saying my prompt is put this whole text verbatim into a photo of a New York Times above the fold for the headline and article below, as in the example of the image for Cloudflare. And that's the image that I grabbed from a thread on X talking about showing how to do these kinds of above the fold kind of things. And this it is like, let's just see. This is accurate, right? This is very, very accurate for what I asked it to do. Like you could go into the text and read it. You could do, I mean, it's just, for me, it's above and beyond, like you spelled something correctly in a headline. This actually looks like a usable document. And that's really the one for me.
Okay, so, but how is Pro involved in this?
Pro is the model that makes it.
Nano Banana Pro. But Nano Banana Pro is just the new version of Nano. My understanding is Nano Banana Pro is the new version of Nano Banana that uses Gemini 3, not necessarily Gemini 3 Pro.
Gemini 3 Pro is in fact the model that it uses. So the current models that get shown in, this is the Gemini app, right? It's Gemini Pro app that you're seeing. And choose your model. And in order to use Gemini Pro Nano Banana, you need to be using Thinking with 3 Pro, because they keep changing the language of that.
Pro account.
Yes.
Okay, got it.
The Daily AI Show also has a Pro account. But yes, I'm using my personal Pro account. So then these are the things that I could do. I've chosen Create Images, and to use Nano Banana Pro, you use Create Images with the Thinking model.
Got it. Now, just for clarity, because I mean, I use AI Studio. I don't have a Pro account. When we say Pro, there's that term is typically used either for the lowest level of monthly, paid subscription, like $20 a month, or it can be the $200 a month version, which in some, like in Claude, is the max version. So when you say Pro, what's Pro here in Gemini's terminology?
Pro is the $20 a month model.
Okay,
Ultra, I believe, is the $200 or $250 a month model. But and the way that Gemini does these things is that they give you full access, but for way less, right? So I don't know how many images I can make in a day with this.
Yeah, I was very impressed with Gemini 3, and I, really wanted to use it in AI Studio, which I will do. But I found myself clicking on upgrade and looking at the features that you get for the $20 a month with the Pro subscription on Gemini. And it seemed to be heavily weighted towards image generation and video generation. Like those things are what, you get on top of the free version of Gemini at either gemini.google.com or in AI Studio. So I hesitated and I said, well, I don't really do video and I don't do a lot of image work. And so you do, however, and you've just given us a great demonstration of something that can be done now. Remember how not so long ago, it was doubly hard to just even get a correctly spelled word into an image, right?
Right.
And we were futzing around trying to figure out ways to get those graphics onto the image that was generated by one of the image generation models. Now, the sophistication of something that can actually create readable text on a news item, it's a phenomenal thing. And so I can imagine it being useful, but I don't find it doesn't align with the uses that I have on a daily basis.
And that makes sense. I do think that that some of these visual layouts and schematic kinds of things are going to be really interesting as we move forward. You were using what were you using? You were using in video? What were you using to do your info?
Ideogram was one of the ones that could do it well. Leonardo seemed to have a pretty good advancement there, but I do understand one of the application uses that I want to have is I want to have infographics
Right.
that are really well done and supportive of the sort of the instructional text that I want to put together for whatever reason.
Right.
And I think that Gemini is going to be doing a much better job at that than any of the other alternatives. And I'll have to experiment with that. So I do have a use case that I think would make sense for the $20 a month thing. And being a big fan of Gemini, I ought to, but I get so far with the free version at AI Studio. So it's like, I
Right.
also have subscriptions to 5, 6 others, that are soaking my accounts. So
Yeah.
including, and I want to pivot quickly here, including the annual subscription to GenSpark. Okay,
Mhm.
now I've mentioned GenSpark repeatedly on here because it really is my go-to for all kinds of deeper analytic work, including research, in order to pursue some complex objective. And they have a tool in their suite of tools called Super Agent, which really orchestrates almost anything I can throw at it as a prompt. Well, GenSpark just closed a 275 million Series B round. And that was at a valuation of 1.25 billion. So they're a
Mhm.
unicorn now. And it's a small team. I saw the photograph on the article about this fundraise, and it's like 8 people, you know, 8 people. And, they're sharing right now the equity with some, major investment partners, of course. But let's just say that they have, each of them, or collectively, let's just say that the team still has, let's say, 40 or 50% of, not quite 50%, but 40% after this Series B. Let's say they have 40% of the equity. Well, that's a lot of money for 8 people. And their valuation will climb, I'm sure. So what they do that's distinctive is they create a suite of AI workplace agents focused on automating everyday workplace tasks. And that's the way I use it. If I'm confronted with almost anything that I have to work on that would require research or spreadsheet analysis or anything else, I just go open up GenSpark and I start a new thread with GenSpark. And it has a very long context window, and it's got this multiple suite of agents, and they also have a big array of tools that you can use. So they describe it as a GenSpark fleet of AI agents, and they can perform a wide array of workplace functions. I'd love to see how companies that have subscribed to GenSpark are using it internally in their workflows. They just launched team and enterprise plans for the AI workspace that automates all kinds of busy work end to end. So they have somehow in those plans, and maybe even in the paid plan that I have, there's some kind of repetitive workflow organizer so that you can schedule and execute tasks that you've laid out for the agents on a repetitive basis. So what they said the enterprise versions of this can do are automatically analyze sales data, create executive decks, conduct screening calls, and schedule interviews all automatically. So they've chosen some of the primary workplace applications that AI is automating, and they have tools to automate those. Yay, GenSpark! They really are on a good trajectory, and with a very small and very highly technical team.
Yeah, I have the impression that they're winning the agent battle, but that is, of course, because I listen to you and Karl. So if I were in a different community, I might be thinking that Manus was still winning.
One of very few of the companies that came out with a kind of an agentic platform concept.
Mhm.
And now, of course, all the major frontier platforms like Gemini and OpenAI and X and who's that other one? Oh yeah, Meta. They all seem to have agent functions that are added to their sort of chat-based systems. and
Mhm.
those you can actually deploy agents in their environments, but it's not the centerpiece as it is for Manus and for GenSpark.
Right, right. And I think, I think we're just going to continue to see what will be the decision factors, right? Will it be, and actually, I think for lots of people, it'll just be in ChatGPT. ChatGPT will build the deck, and it will build the deck not only based on your prompt, but also based on the history that you created with it, building your previous decks, right? And I think that that GenSpark is actually what does that now, and Karl uses that regularly, right? And he thinks GenSpark's decks are better than anybody else's.
Okay, let me stop and interrupt. I have two windows open here, and in one of them, I managed to get into the actual live stream, Karl. I'm on the other one where Karl joined. I got into the live stream by logging in through thedailyAIshow.com. So I did that. So I logged in first to dailyAIshow.com, the Gmail, I'm sorry, the Daily AI Show Gmail account. And then I logged into Talk Studio using the link that's in the shows. So Karl's with us too, but Karl's in another universe over here that I'm in as well. So leave where you are, and then try getting into the stream by going to shows in Slack and clicking on the link for today's show. That should get you into this one.
That's hilarious because I am watching the live stream and it is clearly just us. Karl is in some alternate universe.
I'm going to close this other one too, so it's not out there. Okay, now Karl should join us any moment.
Okay.
This is really weird, because I was just anecdotally here because it is our 600th show. We never had this problem before, even with Streamlabs. It just kind of worked seamlessly, and there were admins who could launch the show and close the show, and today it was the first time that I went into the show as I always do, and I didn't have any control to launch the show, and I was completely alone. And then so I'm thinking, well, that's too bad. Our 600th show was finally the show that nobody showed up as an admin to launch the show. And then I said, all right, there's got to be some other trick here. And so I went and I found the link that you had provided in the show's channel in there. And I clicked on that and I ended up seeing you. And I was so pleased because anyway, now we're all together. Hurrah!
We are all together. And it may be that we were doing something that technically was not allowed because it's not one of the features of the program or the plan. It was just possible. So we'll talk about that off air.
It was really weird because Andy was like he was talking to somebody, but there was nobody with him. So I was just staring at them like, I wonder who he's talking to. And I was like, this is an interesting show concept that I haven't been to the team meetings in a while. So I'm like, is this the new concept that you made up? I was like, oh, okay, well, go with it. And that's why I said, hey, Andy, what's going on? He's like, what? It's like, what's going, who's talking? But yeah, I'm in the Talk Studio admin, and he was the only one there. And I was like, oh, okay, this is interesting. So, and then I went to this one, but then I was like, I thought this was another one. So I don't know.
This is the one that's live and people are watching us right now. Thanks everybody for hanging with us as we figure things out. It is one of the things that happens when you are cutting edge tech and you are used to just doing stuff that they allow you to do, but perhaps were unintentional and not actual features. Yes. Okay.
So back to news, right?
Back to news.
Let's hit some news things here. I wanted to just mention that ChatGPT launched shared chats.
Yes.
Okay, I mentioned just yesterday or the day before, I think, some other service that had provided up to 200 simultaneous chat users.
Wow.
In a common chat with an AI present. Well, my comment was, I can't see the use case for that. Like, what's the importance of having the AI involved with 200 humans on a Zoom call, for example? It just didn't make sense to me how people were doing it. But shared chats in ChatGPT now are, you start them by inviting other people to that chat. So there's apparently an invite link inside a chat that you start with the chat assistant. And the ChatGPT assistant is like a teammate inside the chat, just another person. But I think it's designed for a small team collaboration inside, a corporation or a small business, where you want to work with an AI agent or AI assistant at least, and you're also talking to multiple people at the same time to kind of brainstorm your way through something while being able to ask the AI assistant to generate outputs that might be useful in a canvas. So it initially launched in 4 Asia Pacific markets last week for a test trial, and it's now expanding today to free, Go, Plus, and Pro tiers in ChatGPT. So ChatGPT is, continuing to productize, and we talked yesterday about Fiji Simo, who is the CEO of applications, and so this is one of the applications that they're providing to make all of the facilities of the AI models of OpenAI accessible in ways that really make sense in the workplace. So group projects are now possible with ChatGPT, and that's news.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Sorry. It's going to be really exciting for us.
Oh, so you know what I did is it's unfortunate. Well, I guess we can show it to everybody else. So I put in the Daily AI Show community. I put a group chat link, and so what we can do is, I don't know. You're the host, Beth, so maybe you can copy that link into the stream here, and then
Nice.
I guess we can have a group chat while we're having a conversation here.
It's ADHD crack, everybody.
Oh, here's some tips.
It wasn't just 2 shows, right? It wasn't just us in 2 different metaverses. It's now a live chat.
This is a live attempt at doing what user Honeycurls in the chat said was a very clunky setup.
Okay.
Tried it last night. I'm assuming Honeycurls is a female, but maybe not.
Honeycurls is squid based on the picture. Yes. The other thing that's happened, YouTube apparently is showing everybody as their handle, not their name. So it's at Jude Simmons instead of Jude Simmons. Yes. Honeycurls. Thanks. That's Gwen.
Okay. So and she says the person
I just did. Yeah.
Yeah, it has to be the first, prompter. Otherwise, the first person who prompts becomes the owner of the group.
Yes. Why am I not seeing the chats? All right.
Okay. Well, where are we going to see this chat? Are you going to share a screen?
I'm going to share the link. Karl, can you share the screen? I can't see the channels.
Yeah. I'll share the
there we go. Where did you put it, Karl?
I just created it and I put it in the post show chat and feedback.
Awesome.
In our community. So it's there for those who are in community. If you're not in, please join the Daily AI Show community, and then there it is. All
right.
So what I did was I just put, actually I'll share my screen.
This is dangerous. This is like, watch us break something. Live on air.
All right. Does somebody need to share it on? Yeah. Okay. So there it is. My first thing is gave us AI topics to talk about, and so there it is. And so whoever wants to join, who has the link, I assume.
Yeah. Well, let's declare victory if we can get just a couple of our live chatters over here to go to the community and get into the chat and just show a message here. And then we'll move on.
There it is.
Beth's in. Okay. And there's Beth. So she's added to the chat. Oh man, live demo here of the new ChatGPT group chat group project feature that just released today for every user. Even the free tier can use this tool. So you can invite free users into the group chat. And we're renaming the group chat. Cool. You've got some okay.
Yeah.
So far, only Beth has joined you, Karl. So
It's pretty sad then.
So,
But it's not. It's just me and Beth, and that's fine.
okay.
yeah.
Well, at least we got a little taste of it. That's the way it works, and I can see some nice usages for this, including it's kind of family group chats. When you're not all in the same place. It'd be nice if you could that they advance this as a product to the point where it allows voice conversation.
One thing I'm thinking about is, okay, so how meta is this? It has the video component to it. So
Hey, Honey Curls is in. All right. Welcome to the group chat. We've got our own group chat. Oh, Gwen, is that Honey Curls is Gwen?
Yes.
Is Gwen equals Honey Curls?
Yes.
Oh, something's gone wrong with our naming conventions in this thing now.
So the names are the handles, not the display name.
Okay.
I got that now, but why? What?
Because YouTube changed what they're displaying in the chat, and this is a mirror of YouTube's chat. They're also seeing the handles.
Great. All right, Gwen, great to see you there. Okay, let's move on. That's very interesting, and we'll play with that and understand it better as we grow.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay. Just another thing about OpenAI. OpenAI also launched a free version of ChatGPT built expressly for teachers. It's offering verified US K-12 educators free access to 5.1 with Google Drive and Microsoft 365 integrations available, education-grade security and admin controls. So that's a nice thing that OpenAI is doing to reach out to educators. And we've had a number of shows where we talked about the complex questions about how to use AI in the classroom, and with a range of options from you may not use AI to, hey, here's an AI tutor I built for our class, and you can have access to that at any time. It's either in a gem or a custom GPT, and it has all of our course materials, and you can ask it questions and use it well.
Absolutely. All right. I'm going to take that off the stream. There you go. Or Karl, stop sharing. That's how you take it off the screen right there. What I find interesting, right before I move off this, being able to see the group chat, is that Gwen asked the same question that I did and got a different answer, a different flavor of answer. I got more hot topic news, and she got more AI spending and bond market pressures, which I suspect is part of what it knows about us individually in terms of the things that we're asking for. So
very good. Okay, I've got another little tidbit here, if I can throw it in, because we have to do 600 things today, right? Because
we do not have to do 600 things today.
All right. So TikTok, which I kind of abandoned, presuming that it's going to become some kind of right-wing thing, under Larry Ellison's leadership. So TikTok has now launched a feature that lets you control how much, if any, AI-generated content appears in your For You feed. So you can turn off AI-generated content. So they're identifying what's AI-generated, and if it's AI-generated, you can filter it, with some level of control. The update includes AI content labeling, so it'll mark whether something is AI generated or not, and watermarking. And they also are, putting a little drop in the bucket with a funding of $2 million, which is a spit for the scale of the TikTok audience, for AI literacy. So they're going to spend a little bit of money on the side to help people understand AI and the risks, I suppose, so focused on the risks of AI generated deepfake and other simulated photorealistic content in social media feeds. Now, one other, it's among the 600 items that we have to talk about is US search data shows that nearly 2 million users per month are seeking ways to delete or deactivate their social media accounts. And then they measured by across the spectrum of the social media platforms which ones are being dumped, in rank order. And Instagram leads the list. Facebook is second, Snapchat, Facebook, and then X. So not as many people are trying to dump their X account. Why? Because I think it's a different model to a large degree. It's not short form videos typically that you're seeing as an algorithmic feed, but there are a lot of prominent both academic and technology and political commentators who are on X and first, yeah.
I would say I would shift that because I'm not sure that's as true. I think when Elon first bought it and then during the presidential campaign, there were huge groups of people who are leaving X. I'm not sure there are people who want to drop social media still on X. I think X now has X users, but there were people on Instagram, I think.
So you think that the exodus,
yeah,
no pun intended, the exodus happened earlier than the current observation that now Instagram is leading the charge of users of Instagram choosing to be dissatisfied with the addictive quality of it and the algorithmic thing. And I know myself that I can find myself, continuing to scroll. And TikTok used to interrupt me after about an hour and say, "You've been scrolling too long, take a break." And I am deliberately trying to not go, for more than a few minutes before I put the phone down and I get back to work. So it is addictive. And this is, I think, the driving motivation for why there is this both exodus from X and also the deletion, deactivation pattern that's happening on the other kinds of accounts.
Well,
Okay.
and that's really interesting. Did you say, because I remember something coming out just a couple of weeks ago, or half a year ago, depending on what your AI time setting is set to, where Meta had you gave Meta permission to access photos it did not have permission to access. Not something you were going to upload, not any of that, just having it on your phone, it could access those photos. And that's the point at which I stopped. I've stopped several times. I go back to Meta periodically, but this is the drawn line for me. So, yeah. Okay. Karl, do you have a news story?
There was one news story. I don't think we ever covered it. It was more on the marketing space where because a lot of I don't know how much you know about the SEO tech space, like so Ahrefs, SEMrush, Answer the Public. There's a lot of them that measure your both paid ads, mostly on Google, but other search engines too. But like the kind of the joke is that when SEMrush So one of them, SEMrush, just got bought by Adobe, and all of them right now, every single one of these companies is rushing out some sort of AI tool to measure essentially, you know, how much the large language model is showcasing or whatever your brand, like what, how do they showcase your brand, right? And everybody's trying to put their own tool together, but obviously it's like no one has the proprietary data that Anthropic, Google, OpenAI, none of them have it. So I guess they're having like third parties try to scrape it, which is really interesting too, because there's a lot of flux in that industry. And, you know, Adobe buying one of them, because I used to use that way back in the day. And, you know, that was one of the original ones too. It's just funny because Adobe buying anything to me means the death of that tool, because once it joins the Adobe ecosystem, most of the time, whatever it's bought kind of gets bought. Like you never hear from it again, or it just becomes part of the Adobe ecosystem. And it's, you know, very expensive for those who are filmmakers, whoever uses Adobe Premiere. It is expensive compared to other platforms, especially like DaVinci, which is free, versus an Adobe Premiere, which is you paying a hefty price every month, especially if you're in the filmmaking space. So I thought it was really interesting, but I thought that buying the acquisition of SEMrush is, to me, in that AEO GEO space, the flux of involving and who's going to buy what and what is the most important. One of the things I wanted to bring up is while so many people are so concerned about, hey, I wonder if a Gemini or ChatGPT or Claude, what will that, when somebody searches that brand, how will it look? Will I come up? And the problem is there's so much personalization to that person now with memory, especially with memory, right? With when we were searching with Google, there's a lot of best practices that cut across the board. There is a little bit of personalization, but not to the degree where, you know, not only can your large language model know where you are, but it's like, hey, there's very, very specific criteria that you search by. And then there's also instructions that you want it to search by, right? So it's now very tailored. So what will show up for you, the person upstairs in the same room, the same house, could be completely different based on their specific thing. And Nate Jones actually had a good point where I think there was a couple of studies that he mentioned where part of the large language model is not, right now it's trying not to show the major brands. So if you're searching for something on Google, you have like, you're always going to get the top whatever brands, right? Most likely, because of how it's designed to not be the same. You may get like, people are seeing these random blogs or websites that aren't even ranked at all show up. And that could be related to your personalization, that related to like search before. Or it could be also related to just like the large language model saying, hey, here's what we show, like what is regularly shown. Why don't we show you this one? So for anybody to, I think about, hey, we've got the answer to GEO, AEO, and you know, I was like, I don't, because one, there's a pattern of randomness to it, which is kind of built in, but it also, it's heavy personalization for everybody. So it's a completely different way to think about it. And then I want to add one more layer in that. That's great that you're using a large language model, but as more and more of us use a GenSpark, use agent mode, use Gemini agent, we're not searching anymore. It's our agent preparing the search, planning the search, executing the search, and just coming back with us, not just the answer, but like we just gave it a goal and there's the answer. So how are you preparing for that? No one really is talking about optimizing for agents. They're just optimizing for large language models, right? So it's just a commentary of just like what's interesting in the space.
Yeah. Yeah, got that. So I just wanted to mention Gareth joined us here just a few minutes ago. And yes, we talked about Jen Sparks' funding round at the top of the show. And now, of course, Karl, who's my colleague and co-kudoer of Jen Spark.
Co-kudoer?
I got several of our clients to implement GenSpark, and they love it. They love it. They love it. They love it. And it's just
it's my go-to, and I always wonder whether Manus is a little bit better. Should I have been using Manus all this time? But GenSpark's always satisfied me. I've never been disappointed by any of the work that I've done with GenSpark. All right.
So wait, based on what Karl was saying, it makes me think that what you get shown is part of the temperature setting, right? And the average temperature setting in an AI allows for a little bit of creativity. Otherwise, it's always the same response. And the only way that you get to control the temperature so that you get the same response is if you're like doing an API or a backend platform kind of thing where you get a slider for the temperature. So Karl, that seems to me to be built in. There's always going to be some random things unless you really heavily code it so that if it's a shopping search, the temperature is at 0 or the temperature is at like, 0.1. And now you get like the top 2 searches are the regular and then there's a random third maybe.
Yeah, it's just that like, and here's the thing that gets me too. It's like, but the way that we're thinking about this is the assumption that people will still go to your site or take note of your site. How many of us search for something and just read the information and like, okay, I don't really care where it's coming from. Sure, if I need to really cite my sources, I'll think about it. But like I don't know what you're trying to do. Is it trying to like, oh, my brand is going to show up, so I'm going to remember said brand? And maybe it's the type of searches you're doing. I don't know. All I know is it was just an interesting thing because everyone's trying to apply the same principles of, SEO into this brand new thing. And I'm like, it's kind of different. And it's not like Google's telling you how to create your content. It's just like, create your content, but all can really have full customization on it.
Nice.
So I don't think there is a clear solution to what's the best way to show up in AI results. Just the general instructions that I've seen when I've read articles about it is that you just have to make your content on your website and or in your repository of blog or whatever the resource is. You have to make it clear and accessible to search bots, and you want to make sure it's up to date. And also, one little tip that I've read is that a question and answer format tends to be more interesting to the AI search engines, and so using a Q&A model like an FAQ is helpful to you appearing in search results that are generated by AI.
So I said this before, anecdotally, it seems to me that LinkedIn has some effect in getting information into current searches for ChatGPT. I've just seen a couple people say, hey, I posted about this on LinkedIn and somebody just told me they found me on LinkedIn. They found me in ChatGPT when I asked for an expert source. I don't think we know. They're not telling us the sources. But LinkedIn is owned by Microsoft and ChatGPT has still a relationship with them. So that may be part of it.
Yeah.
Also, do as I say, not as I do. Posting on LinkedIn is just a good idea. Do it. Okay. There we go. Okay, so the we were talking about group chat, and which was just released, and a little bit about Gemini Pro. Codex just came out with a Max so Codex is ChatGPT's agent coder command line interface or IDE. And I wonder how people are receiving that. I just did a Claude Code workshop on Wednesday with the Every team. So I haven't done anything with Codex at all, or Codex Max. Have you, Karl?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, what I've been finding is because I'm kind of switching it, right? So I used to do Cursor and I'd have one terminal running Claude Code and then another terminal running Codex. But then I started I just started forgetting that I was in Codex, not Claude Code, because I was working in the same directory, and I was just like, and I started confusing myself, and I was like, okay. And I would go back and forth. I'm like, oh right, I'm in Codex, not Claude Code. So anyway, what I started doing is I'm using Codex in VS Code, and obviously Claude Code and Cursor, just separate the two. But I wanted to see the features of one over the other too. What I found is Matt Schumer wrote a really good post about this too, where I was finding this too, is that Codex does a really, really good job with very more complex. If you're planning to build a very complex app, and if you want to vibe code that, I would go with Codex. Or if you wanted to use it as a coding assistant, not vibe coding, but I say it beats out Claude Code significantly. And then people are like, hey, how about Gemini? It's like, when I was testing Gemini and Codex, Gemini had superior front-end design. And I think most people have seen that, right? Build this, build this, build this, you see it. But again, back to, if you're building something complex, especially a complex backend that isn't just a simple database, you want to go with Codex, because Gemini has a tendency to kind of over deliver, and it's like, that's not what I want. Codex is very for all those, and I shared this in all a bunch of communities, there is a difference between Gemini and GPT, like Codex and GPT 5.1. And if you have the opportunity to use them in conjunction with each other, your outputs are going to be 10x, but you have to kind of know when to use what. Like he mentioned, like in Codex, so let's keep it in coding. If I have very structured approach, like I want this, I want to refactor this, I want to do this. It handles it straight, like it's like very structured, uniform, exactly similar to prompting with GPT 5.1. You have to have role, context, like the things that we've always, how we've learned, how we've taught people. What makes Gemini amazing, and it's kind of back to the O3 model, where if you kind of just give it like chaos, it will filter through the chaos and be able to do something. And especially if it's multimodal, like it shines so well because it can like quote unquote see and understand visual and images, video so well. So if you have whatever you're building, think about it that way. Like if you're building something that requires multimodality in it, the front end, you've got to go with Gemini, and it's not close. But if it's very structured on the back end, and right, it has to be like, I would recommend Codex. And I'm sure within however many weeks, Claude's not just going to sit. I mean, Anthropic's not going to sit back and just, I'm sure whatever the next edition will have amazing, but it's just the front end UI. And because of multimodality, Google's just top on that. But structurally and being an organized application and making sure it works flawlessly, yeah, that's where Codex shines. So yeah, but then it also applies to regular day-to-day use. So if you have a chance, go watch the Nate Jones video. But more importantly, if you at any point can just use these to play off each other, it's amazing.
Okay, so you named a couple things. You're playing off Gemini and Codex. You said 5.1 sometimes too. 5.1
Yeah,
Pro?
so if you're using code, if you're using the Gemini CLI, right?
Yes.
I would use that as the front end designer. So,
Got it.
and then you save your, if you're building applications, save it to GitHub, and make sure Gemini can see the repo and then Codex see the repo and play off each other. It's fantastic if you can run it at the same time. But if you're using it just regular non-tech, kind of the same principles. If you want organized structure planning, I would go with 5.1. But if you just want, hey, I want to do this, chaos, visual imaging, go with Gemini. But if you play off, right, if you plan and then want something, if you can play it off each other, it's fantastic.
Okay, so I want to help disambiguate some of the terms here, because when we talk about Gemini, right, there's Gemini 3 Pro, which you can code in, but there's also anti-gravity, which is something different, which is a vibe coding platform expressly using Gemini 3 to do application development. Now, you're not talking about anti-gravity when you're talking, right, Karl?
No. So what anti-gravity is so for those who don't know, it's a IDE, right? Integrated Development Environment. Very similar to Cursor, Visual Code Studio. And
it's downloadable application on your desktop that integrates, the back end integrates to Gemini 3 as the coding agent.
Yeah, it integrates it like natively. The funny thing is, do you all remember Windsurf? That's the team that built it. It's literally Windsurf Googleized, right? So it's like the whole Windsurf team was literally taken by Google, and they built this. So that is.
ChatGPT, OpenAI was buying Windsurf and then didn't, right? There was some reason that it didn't, and now
Google rescued the team and brought them into Google. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's the idea. But what I do is, if I'm working off the thing, because I'm getting rate limited like crazy in anti-gravity. So what I do is just open a new terminal, and if I'm coding the same thing, so I use Claude Code in Cursor, but then I also use Gemini CLI in the terminal in Cursor. So I would play, or you can get the extension, doesn't matter. And then for one, I would code front end. The other one, I code back end. You could do it all in Cursor. Just don't get confused like me, because then I'd have multiple terminals open and working off the exact same file. You could do that. It's just, anyway. So I'm using that. I'm not using anti-gravity just because I can't get enough. I can't get real work done, because it's just, you have overloaded. I was like, okay, I can't. I'm sure in the next week, month, it'll get better, but right now.
Okay, so that's Gemini, and the distinction between accessing gemini.google.com, selecting Gemini 3, and then doing some coding action in there.
Yes. Yeah.
That's one approach. Now let's shift over to OpenAI. Codex isn't available to even a pro account or
a Plus account, and it is.
Yeah, that's right. Plus account. Is Codex now available to Plus users?
Yep.
Is it? Okay, because it wasn't before, which is why several weeks ago I said, hey, I was able to get to Codex in Poe. So not Pro, but Poe, P-O-E. You can access Codex there. But now you're saying if I just go to chat.openai.com, I can get to Codex. I can select Codex as the model.
Codex is, let me see. Is it going to tell me I have to buy something else? No. Codex is up at the top left on the desktop view, near Sora, where Sora used to be, and library and search chats and that kind of stuff.
Okay, so now the next question is, can you get Codex High? So there's codex, there's codex high, and there's codex max. Those are the levels of the coding assistant. Now, Karl, you're probably using codex max because you have the super duper account, whatever it's called at OpenAI.
Yes. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
But is there any denomination of the codex?
You can switch the models you can switch the models in like when you're using it. So you just I think /model that one of those is the one. Yeah.
So
you can
when you were doing your comparison between Gemini 3 and codex, and deciding that codex was really better when you provided it with a structured and complex set of objectives. Which codex model were you using? Was it max, high?
I think I have to go back into Visual Code Studio. Let me check that.
Yeah. So this is codex.
There's any difference in the reasoning or coding capabilities of those. It just means that if you have codex max, it's going to apply more compute to the thing, right? So inference time compute is going to be at a higher level.
So so what I'm showing is what codex looks like if you click on it in your ChatGPT Plus.
Okay.
Just looking at your in the web. It does not look like I can choose a variation, but I suspect if I go to my terminal or try it in the IDE, what I'm using is now the API of it, right? Or I'm installing that from the API side, and then that would, I would guess, give me all the model options. But I'm not trying it in the terminal right now while we're on the show.
Okay, got it.
Karl is opening his IDE to see it, and that also, I don't know, maybe it's no.
Well, now it's telling me I have to upgrade. So I'm like, oh. So now, yeah, I'm in the upgrade mode of this.
Yeah. So I think what we're seeing is what we saw with just the LLM side before, right? We've seen it a little bit with image, but we're definitely seeing, okay, so these are kind of on par with kind of specialized skill. As we were talking before you got here, Karl, I would always use Nano Banana Pro if I wanted text in an image now. It just blew everything else out of the water. It sounds like now we're again needing to know, like, okay, so when would you use this? And for the folks that I would call, I don't know, muggles in the bubble, right? So users, but not heavy users, they're going to pick one flavor and live with it, right?
Right. And now Karl has been at the vanguard of using these coding agents in application development for his clients. And I would say 3 months ago, Karl, or 4 months ago, Karl started encouraging me to move away from Lovable and instead use Claude Code.
Right.
Right. I never found the time to actually make that migration. But now, what is your recommendation, Karl? What kind of application development I'm doing. It's not simple, web demos. It's back-end sophistication, for multi-user partitioning and I've been doing it in Supabase, but now there's integrated databases for many of these, including, I expect that if you're coding in Gemini or anti-gravity, it's going to automatically configure a Firebase for you. So Codex, though, is Codex as complete an environment that would allow me at sort of my level. I'm not writing code that I'm going to, then apply in a separate deployment. I want a fully deployable application development environment. So what would you recommend? I think that's probably more alike with the audience that we have than professional coders.
Yeah, I think what you probably want to do then is run cursor, right? Run cursor, but I still recommend you can run the extension. So find the extension for Codex. I would go with cursor Codex combo. But I would actually, if you really, because you're actually getting deeper into that, I would run Codex in the terminal in Cursor, because then you have, or Visual Code, so it doesn't matter. But what's nice about Cursor is just that the way that it's laid out for you. I would
Yeah,
never ever run it in
I
the
have
terminal.
Cursor on my desktop, and I have minimal familiarity with that, whereas I have no familiarity with VS Code.
Yeah, so go to Cursor, open the terminal, make sure install Codex, make sure you're obviously in the right directory wherever that is, and yeah, I would go from there, connect your repo, and then away you go.
So,
Cursor is basically Visual Studio Code, right? I mean,
They're both, yeah. It's just that you get the Cursor agent if you ever need it,
right.
which you could also set to whatever model you want to. So you get them there, so might as well play in all the same environment. You can run multiple terminals, and then you can run parallel, so on and so forth. And
yeah, I just mean that, Andy, if you have experience in Cursor and no experience in Visual Studio Code, you do have experience in Visual Studio Code. It's the same. It's the same visual.
I'll add that to my LinkedIn profile now.
Okay, so as said, I was in a Claude Code workshop on Wednesday, and they said, Karl, absolutely, you can run in parallel, but you should never be working on the same project in multiple terminals.
I know, because I was like, because I just got confused. I was like, okay, I was gonna do here, and it's like, huh, this is. The outline seems a little different, and I don't remember upgrading. But hey, whatever, right? And you're tired, and you're switching, and you're like, "This is the wrong program."
Yeah.
Oh no! And I was like, But then, you know what's nice? It's like, I would actually, I use a whisper flow. I'm like, "Hey, I think I screwed up. I was using Codex instead of Claude Code, and all the stuff that we've done the past 20 minutes. Could you delete that?" And it's like, it would go through, and then what we did, and then I'd be like, okay, is that fine? Is that fine? And it's not like the application was a client app. It was just more for fun to try everything out. So yeah, it was, but yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Don't do that.
It feels like, so based on that workshop that I was in, I feel like it's really good to go through and build something that you don't care about, that is an example of a very simple thing that you can build, right? They had us build a personal finance app. We want to be able to upload a CSV and add something, right? Like with 4 categories or something like that. And you can build it and you can see what you can do, and then you can play around. And then it is really good to now not just go, wow, I can build anything. Let me do that with my really good idea, but to take the gap between the two and plan and pick the individual features you want to code each time. Because if you just go, wow, this was great, I could do this in 10 minutes. Now I want to do blah, 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 blah. All of those features may not work. You don't know which one, right? Like, so.
You're 100% right. And as much as Gemini, you can see really cool stuff, especially the people like, oh, I one prompted this. Is like, okay, great. That's fantastic for individual builds. But like, if you're actually thinking of having a sustainable, not even something you can sell, like actual something sustainable for you that can work over time, you may want to, like, I tell a lot of our clients too, is like, you know what you could do? Take I still think voice for ChatGPT is one of the best. Go out, 20-minute, go for a walk, tell it, hey, I want to build a products requirements document. Ask me all the questions required for it, and just answer all the questions it's asking you about whatever you want to build. And then ask it, hey, once it gives the PRD, then take that and put that into Claude Code, whatever tool you want to use, Gemini, Codex, whatever. And from there on, you'll have the plan to create in a way that is organized and structured versus, I want to build this app. Like I would never ever recommend if you really want to build something to start with, I want to build this app.
Yeah.
Start with the PRD, go for that 20-minute walk, do it, and you'll have a much better app after the fact than just a kind of one.
And that PRD that you build, it can allow you to easily do it across multiple platforms. So I can give it, excuse me, I can give it to Codex and say, here's the PRD, build it. I can give it to Claude Code. Here's the PRD, build it. I can give it to, I don't know, X as a builder.
Lovable. You can give it to Lovable. It'll build it much better in all the Bolt, Replit, whatever. I highly recommend start with the PRD, and you don't have to. Yes, I recommend the voice, but you could go to any large language model and just say that, like, use that. Be like, hey, I want to build a PRD. Ask me all the questions I need to build one, and we go from there. But just to get yourself organized, because all the things that you probably may or may not have thought of, all the features you want, a PRD will give that out.
Yeah.
And
it's definitely the first step.
And the other thing that is really important, and I see we're over time. I'm late for a meeting, apparently. The other thing that's really important in that context is using GitHub or some sort of, GitHub is just the best one, I think, that is going to keep the updates if you're going to move between things, if you're going to use a front end, Gemini for front end, and ChatGPT 5.1 for, or Codex for backend. All right. Well, this was amazing. Thank you so much. Thanks for, I'm so glad we
get to 600 things, but
I feel like we did definitely start rocky, but we made it. We landed the plane. That's awesome. All right. We will see you next week. Have a good weekend, everybody. Conundrum will come out tomorrow. That'll be on Spotify. Newsletter will come out on Sunday, and we will be back on Monday. Thanks. Take care. Ooh, nope.
Nope. We're back. Okay, well, I had a big news item here I need to discuss.
Yeah.
No, but we don't have time. So shall we just both leave the...
I'm going to close the studio and then I'll end the stream. What's funny is that I don't have the end stream now, but I did before. So, all right. Thanks, everybody.
From you. Okay.